Stirring the coffee with chopsticks using the vortex method, the only true way to optimize the taste of your coffee. At the molecular level, good morning, welcome to the Daybreak Show. I am the Sultan. We'll get started, but first, coffee. Oh, how perfect. I am down to 1 cup of coffee a day because I think as I've gotten older, I'm more sensitive to caffeine. So I really appreciate 1 good cup of coffee. Life is too short to drink garbage coffee, but just 1 cup of coffee is so perfect for me. Good morning. We are having a single topic Daybreak Show today, and that is this. I want to explain to you some viable relationship options. They might be for you, they might not be for you. For someone who's a little bit older, divorced, or widowed, and if you feel like you are traditionally wired to jump into commitment or marriage, here's some alternatives for you. If you feel like the kind of person that, I don't want to say needs to be in a relationship, or if you seem to gravitate towards exclusivity, or you were taught that marriage is the only way. Here's some alternatives that are not immoral, unethical, manipulative, have nothing to do with game, notch count, and all this kind of stuff. If you are beyond making babies, or if you don't want to have children, this might be for you. And if you're not a traditional vows kind of person, go to the altar and get married, here are some possible alternatives. Number 1, relationship fasting. Now, relationship fasting, I got the idea. I came up with it probably 2 or 3 years ago. Some of you remember this. And I was walking in the woods that day and talking about it, just kind of putting out the basic bones, the basic structure of what it was like. I was kind of thinking out loud. And it goes like this. It reminded me of intermittent fasting, where there's a window of eating. For instance, I was recently talking with my doctor about my nutrition, about my diet, about my metabolism, and so forth. And we decided that the best, and this is an endocrinologist, the best window of time, and we were talking about intermittent fasting, the best window of time for me, who gets up early in the morning, the best time for me to eat is usually from about 6 in the morning till about 4 in the afternoon. After 4 o'clock, no eating. So I can have dinner as late as, let's say, 4. No later than 4:30, because I do go to bed early. But I can't eat when I get up. So, like, who wants to have breakfast at 4 o'clock? I certainly don't. I have to be up for a few hours before I have anything. That's how I work. But there's a window of time. And in that window of time, I eat higher protein, high fat, low carb. I'm not doing strict carnivore. That's something I do like every other month. But for the most part, I am low carb, high fat. Some people would call it more of a keto type of nutrition plan, but it works well for me. It keeps me trim, keeps me strong, keeps me looking good, fitting in my clothes, which is the last reason why I'm doing anything, is to look good. That's one of the benefits of doing what I'm doing, but the way that I'm eating is for longevity. But let's get back to relationship fasting. Like intermittent fasting, there is a window of time in which you are actively eating. Relationship fasting came from the intermittent fasting world, and I just kind of transferred some of the principles over, and it makes a lot of sense. Khalil Gibran writes in his book, The Prophet, he says, "Let there be spaces in your togetherness." I read that many years ago. I think the first time I read that was in 1986, to be exact. And I thought, spaces in your togetherness. And did you ever have someone say, I just need some breathing space, or I want to give you some space? I'm not talking about the kind of space where someone's breaking up with you, or they're starting to break up with you, or you're starting to break up with them. The healthiest marriages and relationships are where people give themselves space. You give your mate space. I have a client who became a flight attendant, a man, and he was doing transatlantic flights, and he might even be watching this now. And I remember asking him, because he became a flight attendant when he was married. And I said, well, what did that do to your marriage? He said, it's the best thing that ever happened. And I thought, what? How can that be? And I didn't really understand that. It's because distance creates or ignites desire. He's up in the air for 3-4 days at a time, going across the Atlantic, spending the night, coming back. It's a 3 or 4 day proposition. He works 3 to 4 days a week. And what was interesting was he's busy working for the first day or two, not thinking about home. He's immersed in his work, and his wife is at home. She's going to her job and so forth. By the end of the second day, going into the third day, he starts really thinking and desiring his wife, and starts thinking, I can't wait to come home. She starts thinking, I can't wait to see him again. I had some quiet time. I did what I wanted to do around the house and so forth. And when he finally comes home, then they are together, and they make love, and they do things together, and they spend time together, and they're with each other for 3 or 4 days. And then it's time for him to go back up in the air and go to his job. And by the end of that third or fourth day together, he's thinking, okay, I got to go to work now. So he goes to work. By the end of the third or fourth day, she might be thinking, yeah, I'm ready for him to go back to work. So they never get to the point where they're on each other's nerves. I know some people have storybook marriages and relationships where they just never get sick of each other. I think everybody can, I think everybody has the potential, every couple has the potential of getting sick of one another. Not permanently, but like just needing a little break. So the whole concept of relationship fasting came through hearing these stories of people who travel, people who have separate work areas in their home, people who give each other space, people who enjoy quiet and solitude. And I saw, wow, that really works. And I thought, I wonder if I can adopt that into my lifestyle in the future. And I think it's a viable option for a lot of people, relationship fasting. And when you come together, the distance ignites your desire for one another. Rather than getting sick and tired of one another, you appreciate each other that much more. It's not being aloof. It's not a chance to go and have an extramarital affair or an extra relationship outside of the relationship affair. I guess it can be used for that. But like I said, I want to talk about the moral and ethical relationships here. So that would work in a marriage. Many people feel that if they're having trouble in marriage, that they need to get closer together when, like, physically, logistically, time-wise, spend more time together. In my work with people, I find that if you separate just a little bit more, that creates desire. That will also test the relationship. You'll find out quickly if that ignites desire or if the relationship is too far gone. When it comes to me working with men, you've heard me say I'd rather help save the man than save the marriage. When it comes to ladies, I don't suggest that because I don't do a lot of one-to-one work with ladies. Some, but not a lot. So that's relationship fasting, is that distance creates, supports, and ignites desire. many years ago, I had a Facebook post, which I'm now easing off of my personal Facebook account. I think I unfriended everybody, everyone, family and everybody. And I have just the quote unquote professional business page on Facebook. And I want to phase Facebook out 100%. Not interested in Facebook anymore. But I remember posting something like, I can't wait to throw a log on the fire, cook dinner with my wife, enjoy a nice dinner, a glass of wine, sitting in front of the fire, watching a movie, making love, and then going back to my house down the street. Now, I said that kind of tongue-in-cheek, but when it came to all the thumbs up and the likes, it was mostly women that responded positively to that. And I thought, what's going on here? Some people would interpret that as, that's the modern woman, she's committophobic. And of course, every woman I've ever talked to, says, well, men just don't want to commit. Can I be in the middle of men and women? You both don't want to commit. You both are able to commit, but don't smother each other. Give each other some breathing space. Now, when it comes to mate guarding, you better be committed to one another before you try relationship fasting. If you have any propensity for cheating or polyamory or anything like that, it's not for you. This is for people who trust and can be trusted. Make no mistake. Relationship fasting can also, first of all, let me put it this way. Don't confuse relationship fasting with, I need space. I just need some space. Usually that's the signal that the relationship's over with. I'm talking about, this is a rational, well planned out plan to enrich the relationship. It's not a gateway to separation and divorce. Okay? That's relationship fasting, seeing each other within a window of time, but still having time to yourself. The second option would be contractual relationships, where you're in a relationship with somebody and you say, well, let's give this a try for 3 months. And if it works, if we're enjoying each other, if we're laughing and smiling and not frowning and wishing we weren't in the relationship or looking at other people, then we'll go another 3 months or 6 months or a year. You might want to say, let's give it a year and see what happens. And it's a decision that both people make, because usually breakups happen when one person doesn't want to be in the relationship. I'm talking about a completely mutual decision to have a contractual relationship. If it does work, you contract for another 3, 6, 9, 12 months. That's a possibility. Now, that works really well for people who've been hurt in the past, who feel like that if they invest too much, that they're putting themselves at risk in a number of ways, financially, mentally, socially, emotionally. If you've gotten burned in the past, you're not real quick to jump back into it. Some people would say, jump back into the fire, jump back into the slaughterhouse. It can feel like fire and a slaughterhouse if it's the wrong relationship. But I don't want to be negative. This is not where we go negative. And everybody is capable of infidelity and stupidity. It's not, women don't own infidelity and cheating, and neither do men. Humans do, period. Everyone's capable of it. Now, some people in certain time periods in society have more of an edge because of the government, as you can imagine, and we've talked about that before, and that's something that is a fact. There's nothing you can do about it. It reminds me of gravity. It doesn't matter what you think about it. It is. So, contractual relationships. That's the second one. The third one is open-ended relationships. And I'm not talking about like a sex fest either. I'm talking where you can see each other and there's no commitment whatsoever. You've heard of men going their own way and women going their own way. It's not like your opportunity to have multiple partners. It's just that the concept of having other partners doesn't come on the table and doesn't come into a discussion. It's not a factor. Open-ended relationships. I'm not talking about polyamory. I'm not talking about spinning plates. I'm not talking about, a lack of commitment out of fear. I'm talking about using your head to be rational, that throwing an anchor down with somebody is not an option. Many people do that because of being burned in the past. Let's get real. And everyone has some issues with either being abandoned or being in a bad relationship or whatever. So that right there are 3 possibilities for relationships. And what I'm not doing is promoting any kind of immorality and sexual lasciviousness and debauchery. I'm not interested in doing that. Your own way that you express your sexuality in your relationship, the way that you give, the way that you get, that's your decision. That's your decision. I'm not going to moralize you. I know what's right for me. For instance, I'm waiting till I get married. I am a vol-cel, a voluntary celibate. Some people brag about how much sex they're having. Right now in my life, I'm bragging about how much sex I'm not having. And that's a decision for me. It might not be for you, but you got to realize every decision you make, there are consequences. And I have suffered the consequences of my sexual folly in the past. And I don't want to do that again. And I'm a pretty free-thinking guy, but I'm also a man of faith, Christian faith, and I just want to do things right. I mean, everything from, like, I have a twin bed. I don't have a double bed. I have a twin bed. I don't have a revolving door on my bedroom. That's not happening. When I get married again, because I am open to marriage, I will be buying a new bed, new bedding, new pillows, all of that stuff. Well, I already got the new pillows. But what I don't want to do is bring the sexual phantoms of the past, including its DNA, into my marriage and my long-term and/or / permanent lifelong next relationship. So I want to start fresh. Does that seem hypocritical to some? It does. Pets are doing laps around the house right now. It's what is working for me right now, and I am super happy and super fulfilled and have a good conscience. And yes, the consequences of having no sexual boundaries in your lifetime can follow you for the rest of your life. That is a possibility. And they do create emotions. For instance, let me ask you this. Did you ever go out with somebody and you didn't have sex with them, but then you kind of broke up? All right, think about it. Some people might say, well, how in the world can you do that? Some of you know what I'm talking about. And if the person breaks up with you or you break up with them and you didn't quite consummate the relationship sexually, it doesn't hurt as much, does it? But even if you have sex just one or two times, when there's a breakup, there's a little bit of a tearing, isn't there? It's a little bit of a emotional circle jerk. It makes you think. If you don't jump into bed with somebody real quick and they split, you don't feel ghosted as much as if you would if you gave of yourself or received sexually from them. So is it possible for two people to get to know one another and not have sex? I think at the point when you can't hold back anymore, then you really have to have the conversation. Sex should not be an accident. It should Some people think it should be spontaneous and that you should follow through on the natural animal desire. Well, let me put it this way. When it comes to things like hunger, we have hunger and desire for a lot of things, right, in life. Hunger for food. But do I eat everything that I want? No, I don't. When I have, I feel sick. Like you go to a buffet, you always eat too much. Same thing with sexual hunger. If you, I don't want to say eat the wrong things, gosh. I had to go there, didn't I? But if you satisfy your sexual desire constantly whenever you want, kind of like the sexual version of coming downstairs in the middle of night and munching, visiting the refrigerator, so to speak. I don't believe that that's a good thing. Personally, that's my personal belief. I do believe there is wisdom in abstinence and self-control. Some people used to use the word temperance, which just means self-control. And I do believe there are advantages to denying oneself. We do that with food, don't we? Dieting, intermittent fasting. We make rules for ourselves that are good for us. But sexually, there's some people that say, I know guys and gals that are so strict about their intermittent fasting, their rules about food and hunger and satisfying that hunger. But when it comes to sex, let it flow. Do whatever you want. I like the idea of having discipline in all areas of your life. Every area where there is hunger and desire, self-control and self-denial is not a bad thing. Just something to think about on a Thursday morning. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow on the Daybreak Show, your home of sanity, clarity, and reason.
Deep in the shadows, I know it's hard to put one foot in front of the other. So far as the echo, where do we start? You can learn to discover a million stars. Here in the shadows, I know you're scared. Take my hand, together we'll make a stand. We've got to fight to find a way. Dare to fall to find out what to say. No more hate. Just admit that you're just afraid. Time to let go of all your fears and pride. Stand up beside me, don't you hide. We can build a better place. If we can just find a way, then we can live a better day. Rise from the ashes, from the anger, from the war. Let's come together, lift your spirit for the cause. We should be equal, should be living free. All together, one and all, let's build a dream. Just admit that you're just afraid. Let go of all your fears and pride. Stand up beside me, don't you hide. We can build a better place. If we can just find a way, then we can live a better day. Then we can live a better day. ashes from the anger from the war. Let's come together, lift your spirit for the cause. We should be equal, should be living free. All together, one and all. All together, one and all. All together, one and all. Let's live a better day.